Hi, welcome to our new podcast. It's called My Friend is Watching Me to Watch Star Trek, so I'm forcing them to make a podcast.
That's right.
I'm Dade, and this is my co-host Mars, the person who's forcing me to watch Star Trek.
Hi, I really like Star Trek, and I really wanted my friend to watch Star Trek, and they refused. Under every
For a very long time.
I offered every possible thing under the sun I could think of, which wasn't very many things, but the only thing that would work is starting a podcast, so here we are.
We struck a deal. See, my reasoning is, if she's forcing me to watch 7 seasons of the show, then I can at least make content out of it somehow.
I can at least fully produce a podcast and do that. So also I should just say we got ourselves some drinks here. I went over to the replicator, ordered a Dr. Pepper hot.
Yeah, sure, whatever that means.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're on episode 1. Yeah, we're gonna watch each episode.
So for reference, we are not starting on the original series. Yeah. We are starting on the new generation or next generation. What is it?
The next generation, yeah.
Next generation.
See?
God, get it together, Mars. And we just watched episode 1. We're going to be going through each episode, each of these podcast episodes. My challenge is to remember what I watched, and Mars's challenge is to write down things to keep note of that she's curious on my thoughts on, because Star Trek is a very weird show to me. My background is my dad loved Star Trek, and he would put it on all the time, but I would never watch. It just never really interested me. Star Trek always looked kind of boring. I watched the movies, like the new ones, and those were fun.
That's the thing that everyone tells me. They always go, "Oh, the new movies were great," and I don't disagree. I think they were great too. But that's like it's just funny. That's everyone's go-to every single time.
It's like a. It's like, I feel kind of bad saying this, but it's a fun It's a fun bite-sized version of Star Trek. I feel like, where they just put all the interesting parts in, and speed it up a bit. At least that's how it is for me. I don't know. Maybe my mind will change after we finish this series.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm hoping for. To be honest, I think Star Trek has a little something for everyone. That's what's so awesome about it. And I grew up watching TNG on like BBC. It would just be on like cable, and I would just be
TNG on BBC.
TNG on BBC when I was just a little. I thought I had some kitty. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I would just jump into random episodes. I thought it was lame too. I would actually fall asleep to it, and then I got COVID, and I just watched all of it. I just binged the whole show. So I'm a more recent.
You never think the sickness had something to do on why you enjoy it?
Are you saying that I have brain damage from COVID?
Let's continue. Let's start talking about the show, huh?
Yeah. Episode 1. So we jumped in headfirst into season 1. Season 1, notoriously for any Star Trek fans, it is not a season you recommend that people watch if they want them to like Star Trek. But because of this podcast, we have to watch it. Yeah,
I'm legally obligated to watch every episode.
It's hard to watch, especially because it's a feature-length episode. It's an hour and 30 minutes. And it's...
Mars, do you want me to, or do you want to do a brief explanation of the show or the episode that we just watched?
I would love to hear you do a brief explanation, because I've seen that episode a few times.
Okay, I'll do it for the people who either already know it and they want to hear somebody just butcher it, or for the people who have never seen Star Trek like me and want a retelling by someone who was trying their hardest to pay attention to what was happening.
We should also preference, you were watching it at like 3 a.m. or whatever. Like, it was late.
It's pretty late. It's pretty late, but...
Yeah, hit it.
I was pretty awake, though. From what I remember, it jumps you right into the middle of it. Like, I think it's literally they're talking about some mission they're on, and then they start getting trolled by some dude. Some guy in a funny hat. His name's Q, and he's like, humans are stupid and stinky, and you guys are so dumb. And Picard's like, no, we're not. We're actually very smart and cool. And then he like sends them to prison, to old-timey prison, but it's the future for us.
Mhm.
and they send to core, and they're like freezing people for fun, and then they unfreeze people just to, like, show off how strong and cool they are.
Uh-huh.
And Q's like, you have an amount of time, and if you cannot prove that humans are cool and swaggy, then I'll kill you all or something. And Picard's like, you've got it. I have nothing to lose. And then they go to a planet where Riker's on. Riker is the guy who doesn't have a beard yet in the show,
Baby faced.
baby faced, and he's like just chilling around. He's noticing that shit's like changing before his eyes because of the people there. The aliens, I guess, are like, oh, you want this pattern of clothing? Here, I'll change it for you. And Riker's like, ooh, that's so cool. And then he gets paged by the Picard man himself, the P man, and
Yeah.
he's like, hey, babe, you want to come work for me? And Riker's like, that sounds pretty cool. I think I'll take it. They do a little interview. Look at me getting to the details. I can skip over a little bit.
The details.
Riker
And
says,
then
yes,
and
I'd
then the
love to work
guy,
with
and then the red guy goes on the ship, and I don't know.
you. They talk a lot, okay? I can't remember everything they say. They do an interview. He's on the job. He rewatches the whole episode up to that point to get like a recap. He literally sits down and watches the TV screen that plays the episode somehow
That's so fucking
to
funny
him.
watching. It's so fucking funny watching like a clear green screen that he is looking at, and it's just like the steadiest. Like Riker's not moving an inch. He's just very calmly, very politely watching some scenes
Yeah.
from the show.
They sat him down and played him the episode that was currently playing right now. Anyways, there's a lot. So after that, a giant ship comes out of nowhere and starts fucking with Picard's ship. Is that the Enterprise? Is that the name of the ship?
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
Okay, Enterprise.
Sorry, I don't mean
Yeah.
to sound snarky. It's just like I didn't know you didn't know that.
Mars. I
No, I
know
didn't
nothing
realize.
of Star Trek.
I didn't realize how severe it had gotten.
Oh yeah, no, I really did not pay attention to any Star Trek stuff at all.
Is it the Enterprise? Sorry, I'm the stand-in for this Trekkies. Like
That would probably be the equivalent of you saying, like, pointing at Han Solo's ship and being like, "Is that the Millennium Falcon?"
no, it'd be like me pointing at a Tetris block and being like, "Is that the L block?"
Yeah, I watched Star Wars, right?
Yeah. But you like Tetris.
Yeah, but I also like Star Wars.
Okay, I don't know, Bobo.
I don't know why you rejected my comparison to make it about Tetris. Is that all EM2 Tetris?
I see my friends. They're like a Venn diagram of three things, and Star Wars is not in there.
We have a friend, by the way, for context, who likes Star Wars, and I guess Mars associates it so hard with them that I cannot.
No,
Like,
I've watched some Star Wars. I mostly know Star Wars from YouTube video essays.
that's fair enough. Anyways, yeah, so a giant ship comes up to the Enterprise and starts fucking with it, and Picard's getting all mad and shit. And Q shows up, and he's in like funny outfits, and he's like, "Ooh, what are you gonna do?" And he starts like fucking with him, being like, kill them immediately, like trying to like make him like do something fucked up to prove that humans are terrible.
Yeah.
And Picard is like talking to his crew, and his crew's flipping out, and he's flipping out. Their ship doesn't work at all, and Picard is also being weird too. Like we'll get more into it. I'm still just going through the episode, but Picard is a very weird guy, and
he's super weird in this episode.
Weird everyone on a ship, and eventually, I guess they don't do any. There's an old town that's being attacked during this, and a team from the Enterprise was sent down to like investigate it. And there's a girl who can like read minds, and there's a blind guy who can see heat signatures, and there's Data, who's a robot. A lot happens. I'm now remembering.
Yeah, well, they have to introduce you to the Rogues Gallery.
Yeah, where that is. Then they so after that, they beam back up. Everything's cool. The whole team is like kind of on the same spot, and Picard is like, wait a minute, let them go. And then we find out that the ship is a giant jellyfish monster, and it was not a ship at all. And we found out that the old town that was down on the ground was also a jellyfish alien, and it comes up into the sky, and I guess they're in love, and the jellyfish like fly off into space as the whole crew watches. And Q is like, I may be done for now, but I won't promise you won't see me again. And then he like vanishes, and that's how the episode ends. Like that's all. That's most of what I remember.
He's like a Batman villain. I'll get you yet, Enterprise, and then he disappears.
Yet. I do love Q. I'd probably say he's probably my favorite character right now.
I wouldn't disagree. He's one of the most consistent parts of the show, I would say. Like he doesn't change very much.
Do you want to know what my favorite character in Star Trek is, and that I'm very excited to see someday? When my dad would watch Voyager, he would watch there's an episode. There's some dude in the kitchen. He's like a furry dude.
Yeah, Neelix.
So yeah, Neelix. I always think it's Felix. I love him. He's my favorite.
Oh god, yeah. We still got to talk about the first episode, but yeah, we'll eventually. Yeah. I tried to watch Voyager. It is nails on a chalkboard for me.
Really, my dad really likes it. He was really recommending it.
Everybody does. I something's wrong with me. I don't know. I'm a DS9
Watch.
fan.
We finally get to it, and I fucking love it.
You fucking might. You might. I don't know.
Anyways, let's stay on topic with this episode.
So okay, I have notes on all of this that we can go over everything. Yes. That was a pretty good summary. I would like to mention the name of the guy who runs the starbase that they visit, Farpoint, Groppler Zorn.
Groppler Zorn, that's the name. Groppler.
He sounds like a platformer character. I'm Groppler Zorn, and my baby's in the tree. Can you get it?
Grappler, please. I save my children, please.
He does kind of sound like that. Yeah, they have a planet of hobos that captured. The planet of hobos captured a big jellyfish, and they've just been kind of keeping it. But we don't know that yet. So anyway, sorry, I want to get into the actual episode. So the first thing I want to say is it's kind of interesting. The episode opens up with a lot of like really intimate, like camera shots where the cameraman is like following the crew, and like they're like getting right up in people's like faces and like kind of walking around the set at an angle you don't usually get to see. Like most of the show is like pretty steady shots of the crew, especially when they're on the bridge. I mean,
there's a lot of staring in this show. I swear to God, half the episode is just reaction shots of each individual crew member watching what's currently happening on the big screen.
And it's like you need to get everyone's reaction. Like it's like everyone. Okay, let's see what Yar's got. What does Yar's face have to say about? There's a character.
You know what the funniest part is too is that they all have the same face, so I don't know why they so desperately need to see everyone's reaction. It's not like anyone's ever like smiling in a random shot.
That would be so funny if it cuts to someone's face, because it's always ambivalence. It's always just ambivalent fear or concern. I don't know. But fucking. Yeah, the shots are so intimate and weird, and like I don't know, the episode's really weird. But there's a character you don't see too often in the beginning of the show, and that's O'Brien, which I won't tell you which one it was, but he's like in it briefly as like an unnamed character. Yeah, he's an unnamed character that hangs out with them for a second. I don't think they actually say his name, but he's like a huge character in like later Trek series and in Down the Line. And it's so funny that they even get his reaction. Oh, sorry. No, sorry. It's just funny they get his reaction too. Like because like nobody knows who the fuck this is. He hasn't even had a speaking role, and he's just like, oh no, that worm or whatever they're looking at. Okay, what would you say? Sorry.
Actually, I'm changing it because I think that's a good point. Because as someone who doesn't know the shot, the fact that they're focusing so hard on people's reactions at the start. I'm like, who are these people? Why do I care about their reaction? What's going on? Like, they're just staring at shit. Is that person important? Like, I only kind of know from Cosmos of, like, seeing promo pictures of who's important. But if this was my first time seeing the show, like, I'd be like, okay, so that person there who hasn't talked once, they're important. Okay, I see.
So
because we got a reaction shot.
I think this is a good time to mention this because I held this back from you because I was saving all this for the podcast. But the first episode, right? It's the first episode since the original movies, the original show, and then the movies made after that. You know, it's like Star Trek has been very much Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. Like those are the dudes, and like fans really liked those guys. And if there was going to be a show, it had to have them, and they didn't have them, and so everybody was like really upset about that. Like, who's this bald guy? Who's this weird lizard-looking man? I'm talking about Data, and like, it's just
not
like
Lizard Man.
Yeah, a lot of
That's
people.
By the way, for people who don't know Star Trek.
Yeah, if you don't know Star Trek, this is the perfect podcast for that because it's gonna get all spoon-fed. But fucking, it's just funny because like people hated this show when it came out, and the fact that Farpoint. I can see why. Yeah, the fact that Farpoint is the first episode, it's such a wet fart of a beginning. Like, for what the show becomes. Like,
I'm so shocked that this, at least from what I've seen, because I've seen a little bit of the original series since we've started the first episode. So watching that and then watching Next Generation. It's Next Generation, right? Not New Generation?
The Next Generation, yeah, you got it.
Okay, Next Generation. Each time, like I see, like, because I watched the first episodes of the original series, I'm shocked that they keep making more of these.
Yeah.
So, like, from the first couple episodes, I'm shocked that they kept getting greenlit for seasons.
Well, that's the funny thing, right? So season 1 is like, it's all these episodes that are holdover episodes from this thing called Star Trek Phase 2, which is supposed to be like the next part of the show when they finish the show in this like the 60s or whatever. And then they didn't do that. They just did the movies instead. And then Gene Roddenberry was really bummed out about that. He really wanted to like have control, and he didn't. So he made these absolutely just like really outdated the episodes. Like these, he had a lot of like writers and stuff. Like other people worked on it, but he did a lot of editing, from what I understand. And it shows. It feels like this should have been in the original series, but with more action.
I could see that. It definitely had the same feel of the original series.
And well, yeah, and the funniest thing too is why it's a feature, because I believe how it went is it was an hour-long episode, right? And it was just the stuff on the starbase. It was just like, oh, we went to a place and there's a spaceship jellyfish, and that's it. But they
for reference to the people, by the way, this episode is like an hour and something long. Hour 30.
Hour and 30.
Hour 30, and episodes are usually about 40 minutes. Is that what you said?
Yeah, like 40 minutes with commercials. So yeah.
So it's a long watch for the first episode. Your introduction to the world is very, very detailed, and lots of reaction shots for most of it. But it's just kind of shocking to someone who's never been into it. Like I told Mars this while we were watching it. If my friend like had told me how much they love the original series and like we should check out the new show together, I think you'll love it. I was like, okay, I know nothing about the series. I would love to sit down and watch this brand new show with you. And if I sat down to like watch that the day of when it aired, I would be so confused.
Well, yeah, because so that's the thing, right? It was a normal episode, and then they asked them to make it longer, and then they asked
them to make it longer.
Either the studio was like, "Hey, can you make it longer?" Or Gene Roddenberry or somebody on the production team decided to do it. But the Q stuff, all of that is extra. That was added in later. So like,
really?
Yeah. So like the episode was supposed to be like super chill and like kind of introduce you to the story slowly, but instead they just throw you in the deep end, and it's two different stories happening, and they don't really mesh very well, and like it's super long, and then like all the extra like just people staring at shit, I think is just to buy time. Like I don't think they actually did write as much as they could have. But
I was actually curious about that. I'm sure we'll actually. You know what? I think I should leave this to the end. I think this would be perfect. At the end of this podcast, I want to do predictions of where I think the series is going to go from this first episode.
Yeah, this first episode's insane.
Let's try getting through some notes. Do you have more notes?
Yeah, I got tons. First things first, something I found interesting. Deanna is wearing her uniform in this, and throughout most of the show, she doesn't wear that uniform. And it's her miniskirt uniform, which she only really wears in like a couple episodes. So it's like this like weird like you see her and she's like very formal, and she's like sitting on the bridge, which isn't that weird, but it's like it's not it like kind of it's weird. It's like there's a lot of people that are in different positions at the start of the show. But Deanna, yeah, her like she has this cool hairband for her hair too. She looks adorable.
She's the one
Oh,
in the
she's the one who
blue
can read
outfit.
minds. She's the one who can read minds. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, I was I've only watched one episode. I'm still trying. You know, I actually learned. I was telling my dad I was watching this and was trying to get into it. Which, by the way, he was very excited about and very helpful in getting resources for me to watch more of it
That's so
and telling
funny.
me which ones to watch. Like I just quickly mentioned it, and he started like telling me a lot about it, and like which ones I should watch, which ones he didn't really like. Which, by the way,
He really is
I
a
think
Star Trek.
yeah. I was gonna say it's like all the same with you guys. The second somebody mentions it, they're like, well, these are the ones you should check out in this order, and then you should avoid this one. But funny enough, he said that he was not a fan of Deep Space Nine. Is that the one that you like?
That's the best one.
Really?
Yeah, that's hands down the best show.
Hands down?
Hands down. I would put my money that is like the okay. Well, eventually I will trick you into watching DS9, but DS9 is like
Well, after I finish Voyager.
yeah, because that's the order you're supposed to watch the shows. No,
And I'm more interested in Voyager.
I'll be real. DS9, it's gay. It's like rogue.
LGBT
like,
gay. We're LGBT.
Yeah, we're by the way, yeah, we're queer. We're allowed to say stuff is gay. That's allowed. And that's why I can say things are gay in Star Trek. DS9's great, but I can talk about it forever. We really should get to these notes because Star Trek fans.
Yeah. Okay, keep going.
Let's see.
Are these just notes of the episode, or do you have any questions about my viewing as well?
Well, here's a funny. Here, I'll just go down the line because these are all pretty good. The next one is Dade pausing it as soon as Q gets on screen. The second he just Q appear because to me, a Star Trek fan, I'm super used to Q, but like to somebody who has no fucking clue who Q is, just a bright flash of light and then a guy appearing in a military or like an old timey like sailor uniform or whatever.
I do have to mention for people who have not seen it, the effect they use for him appearing on the screen is like a slow, weird fade with the flash of light, like he said, but it's like Windows Movie Maker type transition, and he just had like, I'm pretty sure, a very serious face or something. He was wearing a weird outfit, so for this guy to just come in out of nowhere for, again, my first viewing of the entire series was very weird.
Yeah, you should totally watch the first episode so you can understand what we're saying, because I don't think we're going to be very coherent. But yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird that he just like flashes on screen and he appears and he's in an 18th century like, I don't know, like British person nobleman outfit with like a sword, and he's just talking in Old English at Picard.
Oh yeah, he was talking in Old English. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then he transforms into like a military captain from like the 60s, and then he turns into like a future soldier from Picard's past, where he's like sniffing drugs and he has like one of those, I don't know, like he looks like he's wearing like water wings all over his body. like a
wow, I do not remember this episode. We watched it like 2 days ago, by the way.
It's ridiculous. I have this all in my notes.
It is good.
Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, the show really okay, so this is an interesting thing. So many times throughout this episode, Q is like, "You're fucking stupid, humanity sucks, like you guys are savages," and then like every chance that Picard can have, he goes like, "Humans are so noble and amazing," and it's like, we're evolved, and every time Picard like says something to someone, they're like, "Yes, Captain, I'll do that," or like if somebody like messes up, they'll be like, "I'm sorry, I'll do better next time." Like everyone is so the mental health on this show is excellent. Everyone's very healthy and no one wants to fight each other, and it's like the most Gene Roddenberry thing ever. The creator of the show, Gene Roddenberry, I should mention, that's who he is, because that's like his whole jam. He just thinks like in the future humans will be so done with fighting that like we won't even have interpersonal conflict anymore. And so
Wow.
yeah, and so the show really reflects that. I think that's probably why it's kind of hard to watch this first episode, because like
maybe that's why it feels so weird, because everyone's like, I don't know, like everyone's so, because you say that, but at the same time, everyone feels so passive aggressive in a way.
yeah, a little bit, yeah.
especially Picard. I really want to talk about Picard now, if we can. Is it time to talk about
Yeah, we
Picard?
can talk about Picard. He's
I
at
would
the
love to
very
talk
start.
about Picard. I'm dying to talk about.
Tell me about Picard.
I got boxes full of Picard.
Get boxes full of Picard.
Oh my god! So this guy, I'm going to go on a little tangent here. As someone who's, I have seen so much of I've heard so much of the show. I know that Patrick Stewart's in it. He plays Picard. I know the name Picard. I see gifs of him all the time. I see like shots of him all the time, like memes and everything. I don't know what I had in my mind of him, but it was a lot more kind of warmer and more human.
Oh no!
And he is a fucking weirdo. He's like, the way he talks to people, like, I'm scared when he's on screen. Like, is he going to snap at this person, or is he going to like say something normal? Like, there's a scene in particular. First off, the interview scene with Riker is pretty interesting. He's like weird throughout that, and like questioning his like past motives, and like challenging his views. It's hard to explain because I don't remember exactly what
he's like. You didn't let your captain go down to the planet. Why? And he was like, "Well, I was worried my captain was going to die." He's like, "Oh, so you don't like to listen?" And then he's like,
you don't think your captain doesn't know or might have a clue what will happen?
Do I look like a clown to you?
And he's like, well, it's just my job to give advice, dude.
Picard's like, yes.
Okay. Anyways, you're hired. and then after that, like, there's a scene where I don't know who's the mom who has the kid.
Beverly. I should also mention, right after he finishes talking to Riker in that scene, he goes, "Please don't let me make an ass in front of myself, like in front of children. Don't like."
Which, by the way, confusing for me because they hadn't shown the children yet.
Yeah, so
I was very confused. I thought he just meant like, oh, like he was referring to the crew as his children. Like, I thought it was an actual, what's the word?
Like he was being rude.
Symbolic. He was being symbolic of like, oh, I'm the father and those are my kids. And like, don't make me make an ass of myself in front of the crew. Which I thought was, oh, that's very sweet. He wants the crew to like look up at him. No, he means literal children because he's a fucking weird, awkward guy, awkward old man. Because so there's a lady, I don't know her name. She has a child that's played by Will Wheaton.
Yeah, Beverly Crusher and her son. Not know. Her son Wesley.
Wesley Crusher. I did not know this until I was telling my dad about the episode I watched. He was like, oh yeah, that's Will Wheaton. I'm like, that was Will Wheaton?
Oh yeah.
Like, I was very confused by that. But anyways, they give us no real context of this until we're in the deep of it, which isn't that the whole show. She comes in with her son, and everyone, well, he's sitting in the elevator like behind her, and Picard, and everyone goes like dead silent and stares at the elevator with her, and Picard like he looks like he's about to turn into a tomato. He's so mad, he's so angry. He's like, why is there a kid on my board? Why is there a kid on the ship? Like,
what
well,
the
not
fuck?
on the ship, but like on the bridge. That's what it is. He's like so pissed, and she's like, well, actually, he's not on the bridge, is he? Because he's sitting in the elevator and it's technically not connected to the bridge. And Picard's like, I guess he remembers that her husband died in some war. It kind of gets mentioned a little bit later, and that's through my kind of guessing of the scene. And the kid like comes in after Picard like calms down. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, would you like a tour of the bridge? And the kid's like, okay, that's cool. And he like walks in, and he's like looking at shit, and he's like, is that the captain's chair? And he's like, yes, would you like to sit in it? And he's like, yeah, I'll do that. And he sits down, he starts pointing at shit and like, oh, is this? And Picard's like, he's about to tell the kid like what it is, and the kid interrupts him to like say, oh, it's the blank. And Picard's like, well, yes, it's that. And then the kid's like, oh, is this the Phazon blaster or whatever? And Picard's like, how do you know this?
Yeah, he goes, how do you know that, boy?
How do you get out? Get off my chair. He like gets so mad at him.
Boy.
He calls him boy.
How do you know that boy?
How do you know that boy? He like tells him like, get off the chair, get out of here. He's like,
which
so
by the way,
mad.
no fear from Picard saying that in front of his mom, which he does get snapped. He gets clapped immediately after that. But it's like Picard just forgets who he's in front of. I wouldn't yell at a kid in front of their mom. Are you kidding me?
Well, not only that, he looks insane in front of his crew and like,
Yeah, by the way,
this is a kid.
This is the first. Picard just took over this ship. He's meeting everyone for the first time.
Yeah, it's very brand new. And also, to be fair, I do think doesn't the kid hit like a button or something? He's just like so sure of himself, he starts pressing shit.
Yeah, because they go like communication for Captain Picard, and the kid hits like yes, hello, and then Picard's like, get the fuck out of here! What the fuck's wrong with you?
What the fuck are you doing? Which like, I kind of get his point of view, but at the same time, like it is a kid.
Yeah, no, it's like they're like setting up the fact that Picard is a weirdo around, like he doesn't know how to be normal around kids, but it's so fucking like it's so angry. He's so angry.
It's funny, like I can see the intentions the show is trying to have of like showing us certain stuff about characters, but instead of it coming across as like a thing or a flaw or something, it just comes across as weird and like inhuman. At the points, like just people reacted stuff in the weirdest way sometimes.
Well, you got to remember too, like this is coming off of the original Star Trek, where like everybody has like opinions and emotions and has like so much shit to say, and like they're interacting with each other normally, and then you get to fucking Picard where he's like, yes, no, like that's all he's just fucking stoic. I love him for it, to be honest.
I mean, I'll say this: it definitely makes him entertaining to watch. Every time he's in a scene, I'm like, something weird's about to happen.
Yeah, he's so. Yeah, we should probably get moving. But the thing about the thing about Picard in particular too is it's like very funny because that's who he is. Like they just keep putting that guy into different situations, and it's funny every time, or it's really good every time. But there are like some very good like joke episodes with him that I'm excited to get to. There's one in particular that I won't spoil or anything, but it's written by the guy who would eventually go on to be the showrunner for DS9, and it's like one of my favorite episodes. It's so
I'm
good.
excited to see it when we get to it.
It's so good. Anyway.
Yeah, you have to remind me.
Yeah, I won't forget.
All right, let's get through these notes.
Yeah, so the next thing is I'll tell you who the old man was. There's a scene where an old man gets on the ship and he talks to Data for a little bit. And he's very clearly a young person in old man makeup. Like they're not hiding that from anybody.
When was this?
I know, right?
Wait, no, actually, when was this in like the episode? Was this early on or something?
In the fucking almost dead middle of the episode, before they arrive at Farpoint. Like it's like maybe 30 minutes in. So maybe not halfway, but 30, 40 minutes in. Okay. If I remember correctly, they just have this dude come onto the ship from like another ship, and he's just like kind of hanging out for a second, talking to Data, and Data's touring him around. And he's like, this is a good ship, it'll always treat you right, or whatever. It's got the right name. He's Bones. He's McCoy.
That was Bones?
Yeah, that was McCoy. I believe that's McCoy as an old man. Crucify me if I'm wrong, but I'm not a big TOS fan, so I don't know for sure. But I'm pretty sure like that's Bones. I could just Google it. I'll just Google it.
Yeah, you should Google it. I was going to say that scene definitely, as someone who hadn't seen it, I think I said this while we were watching this. This scene felt like one of those scenes where if you were like an original series fan, like this was a character that you were supposed to know, and that it was supposed to be like oh my god, it's blank. But just as someone who's never seen the show, it just felt like a weird cameo in the middle of nowhere of some old dude.
Yeah. So he's McCoy. Yeah, okay. I remember watching it the first time and having no fucking clue who this guy was, and I had to Google like, why is he important? He's one of the main three from the original series, and he's canonically 137 years old, which isn't that weird for Star Trek. That's like how long humans live. Yeah.
Wow.
Because medicine is so good.
How long do they live like in the normal lifespan?
I think humans get as old as like 150.
Damn.
Yeah, with like medical science and all that jazz. Um,
Holy smokes.
yeah, it's so weird, and it's funny too because it feels like an end. It feels like the end of the episode because it ends with him going like, "Yeah, it's the ship is named correct. You know, it should be named Enterprise. She's a beautiful ship." And then they just walk off down the hallway and it fades to commercial. And that should have been how A Counter at Farpoint ended. Is like okay, guys, this is the episode. This is everything. Now goodbye. Like we got the blessing of the original crew, but it's in the
I
fucking middle.
swear to God, my eyes were open and I was watching this intently, and it was 2 days ago, and I barely remember this.
It's not very good. We haven't even gotten to some of the other stuff. It's just such a weird thing that happens, and
Yeah.
like I guess they weren't really considering like somebody to watch the show like 20 years, 40 years later or whatever, 30 years later. I don't know how, like 30 years. It's been 30 years. I don't know.
Wow.
I'm not keeping track. I wasn't around, but it's very funny just watching all of this out of context. There's also a funny part. I forget like the divorced Kelly McCoy asks Data. He's like, "Are you a Vulcan?" And Data goes like, "No, I'm an android." And he like he mentions you mentioned like, "Oh yeah, like you said this, Dade. You were like Vulcans are annoying." And then the second you said it, McCoy on screen said, "Yeah, they can be annoying." Like he was like he fucking heard you. Like,
well, the thing was is that specifically too, I was like, that is so funny because like the first thing I thought was like, yeah, if I had to deal with a Vulcan all the time, he was like, tell me what's illogical and shit, that'd be so annoying. And I think I said that, and then you were like, oh, that isn't that like a little racist though in the universe? I'm like, no, it's not. Like Vulcans aren't prejudiced against. They're doing fine. It's they're just fucking annoying sometimes. It's just how it is. And then like as we finished that conversation, he's like, yeah, they're annoying.
like he was listening and he got bored of the episode too.
He was like, yeah, fuck Vulcans. I'm so tired of them.
Yeah, this goes right into the next thing too. How mundane everything is for everybody. The fucking
Oh yeah.
everybody here, they're like they have to separate the saucer section because Q is following them and it's like gonna kill them, I guess. And so they're coming up with a plan. So they got to separate the saucer section mid warp. It's only theoretically been done before, you know. It's crazy.
They always say that.
Yeah, and then fucking it's just like everyone's like calmly walking to their station. There's like warning lights and wah, wah, and everyone's just like, oh yeah, I should get to my station right now. I should get over to engineering. Like engineering, everyone's strolling.
I do want to mention that. That was really funny as someone never seen it because like just watching like they're on this intense mission supposedly, and the people are just walking around like it's Friday, like, hey, we need a extra boost the photon, so if you can go do that. Yeah, the boss wants it by like 3 p.m. so we can get around that. We're going to do that crazy theory that's never been done before. So
Yeah.
like everyone's just like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll go do that right after I'm finished with this. Is there anything else I need to do after that? No, we should be good. Okay, awesome. It's just like so mundane and casual. They make like a death defying mission look boring.
Oh fuck. Yeah, it is one of those things in Star Trek which it's like a running joke in like the fandom that everyone is just like their lives are horrifyingly dangerous and they just don't care anymore.
That's how it feels. Because this is every day for them.
Yeah, this is, you know, your boss is getting mind controlled, or you're getting like a parasite that makes you want to have sex or whatever. It's just how it is on Starfleet.
Yeah.
Another funny thing that happened, the Groppler Zorn mentions wanting to take his business to the Ferengi, and you then went onto our Discord that we are both on, and you went up and looked at a meme that my girlfriend posted because it had the word Ferengi in it, and you were cross-referencing to make sure, and I quote, that Ferengi was not someone who worked on the vaccine. You thought Ferengi was the name of someone who worked on the COVID vaccine.
I had no clue. Mars' girlfriend, she sent it in, and I was like, I don't know what this means.
Yeah, the meme is a text post from Tumblr that says, Ferengi pussy got me acting fiscally irresponsible, which is a good joke for a Star Trek fan, but for the Dade, it just sounded like who invented the COVID vaccine got me fiscally irresponsible, and that's very funny.
And it was kind of a little treat to hear the word in the show and get to understand a joke just a little bit more. I still don't know what a Ferengi is, but we're getting there.
Yeah, you'll unfortunately see them in season 1.
Oh wow, you hate them?
We'll get into it. You'll see.
Okay.
All
right, more notes.
They're definitely interesting. Next thing, the introduction of the holodeck also happens in this episode because they have to, and it's specifically Riker has just beamed aboard the Enterprise. Just the drive sectioner showed up. He's got a lot to get filled in on, and he's got to go grab Commander Data. He's got to go ask him for something. And
holy smokes, there's a funny scene with this.
Yeah. So just fast forward through this. Basically, they show up in the holodeck. It's like, oh, amazing! You can do anything. And this was a new thing for this show. This wasn't in the original series. This is like their custom thing. No, this is like, ooh, look at this technology has advanced in this world, and now we have holodecks. And wow. Yeah, and you just see Data in a tree trying to whistle, which is adorable. He's like, no, it's not quite right, just to sort of symbolize what his journey is. And then also Riker, to put a real fucking, to tell everybody what's going on, he calls him Pinocchio. So we all know what Data's whole thing is. And then I think Wesley shows up at one point, and Wesley's trying to walk on the rocks. Does.
Oh my god, I totally forgot about it. Yeah, he falls and he gets fully wet and he's soaking and shit.
Yeah, he looks like a wet cat.
Can I describe it from there? Because I really want to mention this scene. They Data and Riker come out with a soaking wet wow, I've already forgot his name. What is it?
It's Wesley. I'm not surprised.
Wesley. Okay, Wesley. They're taking Wesley out and he's soaking and shit. And we get the funniest shot, this reverse shot of just standing in the hallways of the ship with the holodeck door open and all of them coming that way to the door, and then it cuts back from inside the holodeck to Picard staring forward, walking up, stopping, and then looking into the holodeck room, very curious and confused.
Yeah, just oh, the holodeck's opening. I should see what's inside. What's going on? You just go on. Sorry,
does he say something? I forget what he says. He says something funny, I think.
Literally what happens, he walks into frame, he stops, the door opens, he looks over, and it's just
I think the door was already open, wasn't it?
I think I remember commenting either that, or I remember commenting that it's so weird that the door was not even open when he stopped.
I could have sworn.
I don't know for sure.
I specifically thought it was funny that the door was just open the whole time. He just came in and looked in.
but there's just this sopping wet Wesley, just kind of getting the floor wet, getting the carpets all mildewy on the Enterprise. Which, by the way, carpeted starship.
That place looks so clean. I'm surprised Picard didn't fly off the handles and scream at him.
You think Picard's worried about the cleaning of the ship?
Get this place fucking wet.
Are you fucking kidding? I don't. This is normal carpet.
He's scary, dude.
It's not future carpet. This is normal.
You know
carpet.
how hard it is to clean it out.
We're gonna have 5 guys here trying to dry this up.
I mean, he was mad at the kid even looking at the bridge. So to me, this isn't too far off. As someone who's, again, I know I've said it 100 times, as someone who hasn't seen the show, he just seems like some crazy person who's about to get mad at children all the time.
How did he not jump and strangle at Wesley on the spot? Just grab him.
Oh, another detail too that Mars casually revealed. I don't know if this is while we were watching that show or while we watched an episode of the original series, but she casually mentioned that there are actually 4,000 to 5,000 people on the Enterprise.
Yeah, there's like
crazy to me.
There's 1,000 or so.
I'm not kidding. I thought that bridge room that they're always in, staring at the big screen or whatever. I thought that was half the ship.
That's awesome.
I legit thought oh, okay, that's half the ship, and there's the lower end. There's probably overall, if I had to guess, maybe 40 to 50 people on that ship.
That's It's
And then you casually mentioned that, because I think we were watching the original series and you were like, oh, there's about 400 to 500 people on there. And I was like, no, you said there's only 400 to 500 people on there. And I said, only 400 to 500? And then you're like, well, for reference, in Next Generation on the Enterprise, it's around 1,000 or so people. And I was like, what? And you reveal that there's just random families living on the Enterprise doing shit.
Yeah, there's like salons and shops and all kinds of shit.
Just why are they there? Like, aren't these people going on giant missions of like making contact and helping aliens and shit?
I can tell you something about Starfleet that would make this make sense, but do you want to find out by watching the show?
Damn, that's a good question. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it by the show, because I feel like I should judge it on the merit of what it's telling me.
Yeah, let's see if because I definitely figured it out watching it my first time through, but I didn't understand everything right away. Yeah, they definitely don't spoon feed a lot of stuff to you, especially if you're not a Star Trek fan.
They don't. They really don't.
To continue, also something funny about the holodeck. I remember you saying that it looks like gay porn.
That's just in general. Yeah, specifically though, that for people who know what I'm about to mention, they will definitely get it. If you just search up holodeck forest, please, for the love of God, also Google "oh shit, I'm sorry" or "bad gay acting." I swear to God, the
18
lighting,
18 plus warning, no naked stuff, but 18 plus warning.
There's no nudity in it. They mention
adult themes
male genitalia. There's some stuff in there, but it almost looks one for one. The lighting looks the same. The facial expressions, just everything about it looks so much like bad gay porn. It's kind of amazing. Everything looks so unnatural because of it.
So yeah, it's like funny because you showed me the reverse shot of Data looking at Picard or Data looking at Riker, and it just going in between their faces and then going between the people in that video. It looks
bad gay porn.
You could easily edit a bad, like, just move their mouths over the dialogue easily.
It'd be the same.
It'd be 100% the same. Moving on from the holodeck and that whole fun scene. We also, right after that, Geordi is just for some reason in sickbay. He's getting his.
And who's Geordi?
Geordi is.
The dude with the
visor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Geordi is in sickbay. He's got his visor on, and he is. It's revealed this weird ass fact.
I think I know what you're going to mention.
This fucking weird ass fact that they bring up for almost no reason. They're like, yeah. So don't you ever want to get your eyes fixed? Like, since you're blind, he's like, the visor is like, it kind of like, doesn't it hurt to wear? And he goes, yeah, I have constant headaches, but I don't want to get the surgery to get like new eyes or whatever. I like having my visor. And she's like, well, do you want like pain meds? He's like, no, that would mess with the visor. Oh, do you want anything else? Like, we can maybe figure this out, like exploratory surgery. It's not that hard. And he's like, I'll just deal with the horrible, horrible pain this causes me.
Well, he also had a reason for that, too. He had a reason for, like, all this stuff. And it's just casually revealed that he's in constant pain whenever he uses this visor. The thing that's on his face.
All the time.
Like, most of the show. And it's so casual.
It's so casual.
I feel so bad for him. Just like, oh my God, really? We can teleport people, but we can't fix this guy's poor constant. That actually sounds right for a healthcare future, honestly.
Well, like in the world of Star Trek, it totally should be possible. It should be more than possible. I don't know why that's their stipulation, but it's whatever. It's like, again, it's one of those things where Gene Roddenberry had a vision. He was like, I want to have somebody with disabilities on the show, and I want them to be just like a normal functioning member of the crew to show that the future, everybody is egalitarian. Everybody can do the same work. It's going to be great. Which, by the way...
that's fine, but I just don't know why he has to be in constant pain.
He doesn't. There's no... okay, it's so weird. It's like, what if you were in a wheelchair and your wheelchair just stabbed you with a knife in the back as you walked along? Like, it's
not like people with chronic pain would not take, something to ease that or get rid of that immediately. Like if they were told there's surgery tomorrow that we can just give you like for free, and it will cure it and shit, like they would take it immediately. So why isn't that in Star Trek for people with chronic pain?
And you know, it's one of those things where I have a lot more to say about Geordi, but that's definitely stuff we have to talk about later as
Yeah.
the show goes. Because Geordi is one of those characters that's really interesting. But I will note this: I have heard stories about this and heard in interviews about him, but I didn't know how bad it was until I watched the first episode. So Geordi, ironically enough, when the actor
Mhm.
is wearing the visor, he can't see shit.
Like it makes sense now that you mentioned, but how ironic, huh?
Yeah, they did not design. They like it's like basically the visor. There's like little slits he can see through, but he has like no peripheral vision. It's like it's a nightmare. And
Wow.
so when he's leaving in that scene, when he's leaving sick bay, he looks dead into camera, or maybe not leaving sick bay,
Oh
but there's a
yeah,
scene in this
you're
episode
right.
where he's so clearly looking
I
right at the
pointed that
camera.
out. Pointed that out because I thought that was so funny.
Yeah, and it's because the actor literally can't see where he's going.
Well, I was like, it was funny because like he was following a group of people who were all walking off camera, and they were all pointed one way as they were walking off. He was the last one. He was behind them all, and as he was walking off, he was staring straight into the camera. I was like, is he just looking at the camera? Why was he doing that?
Yeah, LeVar Burton, I think, has stated that he would just like try to remember the layout of the like sets so that he wouldn't bump into things.
Wow,
It's extra funny. But yeah, I
that's
got
amazing.
it's just so funny. He like mean mugs it too. He's like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's looking right at the camera. um let's see what else do I got on my notes. It's slow in the back half. Oh my god, and that is very true. The back half of this episode, it goes from like action. Q is teleporting people. He's freezing people. He's changing. Oh, we're doing all this crazy stuff. There now it's just chase in space. They're gonna separate the saucer section. What the fuck? That's crazy. And then hard cut. They're in a market on the planet buying fabric with all these characters you've never met up until this point. And then they're like, "Hey, the Enterprise just showed up. It's missing its saucer section. We don't know why. You should come aboard." And then like
That's early on in the episode.
that's like yeah, but then it's like it just keeps getting slower. Like it goes into like them trying to figure out why Deanna, the lady who can read minds, why she's like super weirded out by this planet, and she just keeps feeling sad. And then they're like in the tunnels investigating, and it takes forever to figure out what's going on. It takes like an hour in real time for us for them to figure out what the like in the. I remember you like kind of like revealing how much time was left every once in a while, and it would be like 10 minutes left, and you had no fucking clue what was going on. They don't.
I was kind of shocked at that. I was like, how are they going to wrap this all up in like 10 minutes?
It's so ridiculous, and like it's not even worth it. Like they don't build up any of the characters. Like Grappler Zorn is the only one of the like hobo planet people that you meet. Which, by the way, you know what I got a kind of question now. How the fuck did they capture an alien?
They capture it. What do you mean?
So they apparently, how this works is that big jellyfish landed on their planet,
Yeah.
presumably over like a thermal vent or something to recharge or eat.
Did they capture it?
Yeah, well they're torturing it, and like they're not torturing it, but they're like making it stay on the planet. It can't leave.
I thought it was just like, I don't know, tired. It was just staying there.
No, it just was stuck there, and they were forcing it to like make stuff. That's why the starbase was there, because it conjured it up.
See.
Oh,
okay.
That's why like apples were appearing and stuff.
Oh, so those people weren't real in the market?
No, the people in the market were real. They were like everyone who looked like a hobo was a real hobo. But there's like 3 of them in the whole episode.
You say that they're like hobos and stuff, but honestly, I just thought that's how they dressed on that planet.
I mean, maybe it is, but when you see their town, it's like just dirt.
Yeah, the real town, not the imaginary one.
Yeah, there's the really beautiful starbase that's up to Starfleet standards, and then there's the hobo shack town that's right next to it.
Oh, okay, so it is right next to it.
Yeah, it's super next to it.
So it's not the same town.
That is, different places. Very funny that is not clear, and I understand why.
It was really hard. Again, guys, I swear to God, I was paying attention and was like listening and everything.
It's slow. Like I had to watch that first episode in like 3 chunks when I first saw it. I could not have possibly sat through the whole thing.
All right, let's try getting to some more notes.
We're
Start wrapping.
making pretty good progress here. Oh, I'll save this. I got one, but I'll save it for later. It's about Riker and Picard,
Okay.
and like sort of their trajectory for the rest of the series, but also like behind the scenes plans. But we'll talk about that later. They like I don't know. They loosely connect the creature to the holodeck by being like, yeah, the creature can use the same technology we use in the holodeck to conjure up those things, and it's just a weird little detail.
Same technology. So wait, does it have technology or is it
No, it just
kind of doing
can.
magic stuff?
It just can do magic stuff. There's like a weird. They make a point of it in the episode to be like, and this is how it works. But I remember distinctly getting into like halfway through the show and having no clue how the fucking holodeck worked. Like, why can you just eat food and like get wet and still be wet when you leave? And I know that now, but it's not obvious at all.
Yeah, I think I was asking about that because I was confused at like what the rules were.
Yeah, it's basically just like taking a couple core concepts of Star Trek and mashing them together to create a room where anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like transporters mixed with replicators mixed with that's it. Hard light, I guess. I don't know. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, that's right. Um, I think at the very end, this is kind of fitting. At the very end of the episode, Riker, this is like the first time he's met Picard, and
Uh,
he says, "I hope this isn't how our missions are going to go." And then Picard goes, "Our missions will be far more interesting." Like, it's
They'll be far more
it'll be
interesting. That's
far
how he
more
says it.
interesting.
Like I know he's saying it with like a smirk, as if that was like the most exciting, action-packed like
Episode.
mission, and that yeah, exactly. Like he's like, oh, it's always fun here on the Enterprise. Wasn't that a crazy wild adventure? But as a viewer, it was excruciatingly slow and boring.
Which
So with that like smirk, it just comes off like he's actually just saying like, yeah, no, that fucking sucked, and I hope it gets more interesting than that.
well, you know, it's funny that you say that because Patrick Stewart at the time he literally didn't know if there was going to be like more seasons of the show, and he wasn't going to take the role initially. And then they were like, oh, like a bunch of people were like, you should do it. And he was like, okay, fine. And he just lived out of a suitcase for like, I think the first couple of
Wow,
seasons. Like he thought the show was just going to flop and he was going to go back home, but he never did. So for like a while, it was just like he had a suitcase in a corner of a room, and that was his whole life.
dude. Well,
So
he did act his ass off. I will say that.
well, it just makes it extra funny for him to be like, I hope it'll be more interesting next time, I guess. Like, it just sounds like it's really coming from, like, Patrick
Genuine.
Stewart.
He's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing out here. They're paying me to do weird shit in space. God, I need the money. Please, just keep with this going. I'll do whatever they want me to do.
I don't care. Just, like,
Please.
do you want me to put a wig on? I think they actually did make him wear a wig when they were screen testing, and he said no.
No, I'm not going to do that.
It's like, I'm bald. It's going to look like a wig. Everyone's going to know.
They're not going to know.
They're going to
It is pretty funny because like, at least from what I'm saying, I don't know how true it is, but a lot of them feel like theater actors first,
know. Yeah.
just the way that they present and talk, and like so over dramatic. It's kind of funny because it's over dramatic 1 second and then very casual the next.
Well, yeah, especially like when they interact with like an ensign, like somebody who's just some extra, because their quality of acting is so different. Like the extra like came in 3 days before the shoot and like got casted, and that was it for them. But fucking Picard was like hand selected out of a group of people, and like
Yeah.
it's just the quality, especially like the other when you see other background actors in Star Trek, it gets better, especially because we're watching film scans, and so we get to see it in such high quality, and like you get to see it in a widescreen too, which is not how it was intended to be watched. So you get this like bonus of seeing like actors off to the side, like kind of like looking right at the camera.
Oh, I haven't even noticed that yet.
Oh, it happens once in the episode, and it's very funny to me. But I didn't mention it because it was like it was such a split second, and it was really only for real Trek fans. But
For real nerds.
what would you rate this episode on a scale from 1 to 10?
Yeah. Is that how we should be ending these episodes?
I was thinking about
Rating
that.
and then doing a prediction.
What, what,
I
would-
like that.
yeah, I was like, yeah, we could kind of like rate
First,
them.
before I reveal my rating, I would like to hear your rating as someone who's now rewatching it for the third time. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's my third. Actually, technically, like kind of fourth almost. I didn't finish my third rewatch, but yes.
But what would you say as someone who's rewatching this for the fourth time?
It's so, like I've also seen this episode a few times on TV. Also, I don't know why I'm prefacing all this. Anyway, as someone who's seen this episode a lot, watching it again with like somebody who had never seen it before, it made it way more entertaining. But I would have not watched this episode on my own. I would have not sat down to watch this. It's like I get it.
Why did you like it? I'm curious.
Well, because it's like I get it. You know, I know what comes next. Like I know where the show comes. You don't forget an episode like Farpoint. I guess you do, but if you watch it 5 times, I guess you don't forget.
I definitely know that it from what I can see, it definitely feels like it's setting up a lot of stuff, like
it's like
a lot of character stuff. So I can see why it's essential. It feels both like it's setting up stuff and also just coming in the middle of it. So it's very jarring.
I think the most interesting thing and why it's like worth watching if you haven't watched it in a while is everyone is out of place. Everyone's in a weird role that they're not normally in, except for like maybe Picard, Riker, and Yar. But that's it. I think everyone else is Lieutenant Yar is the babe with the short hair.
Oh.
Yeah. She's a great character. She's gonna be around for a while, so get used to seeing that awesome short hairdo. She's one of my favorites. That's why I'm wearing the yellow uniform in honor of Yar.
I'm wearing blue because I like blue.
Also, yeah, I should admit, I didn't have
a medical officer, right?
Yeah, you're a medical officer. That's why.
See, I'm learning.
Do you know what rank you are? I put a little rank.
So I don't want you to tell me any of the rankings or what any of the other colors mean. I want to like learn it from watching the show. All I know
Do you know what discerns rank?
No.
Okay.
But don't tell me that.
Well, it's extra funny because you don't even know what to look for then.
Well, that's what's so funny to me. Like, shouldn't I be able to find out from the show? Like watching it?
The show will definitely tell you. I just I have a fun little thing. I'm gonna rank us up as we go along. I think every season, maybe every 2 seasons, I'll give us an upgrade on the rank.
Okay, I'll be curious to see what the ranking is and how that's determined.
Your model
is it this is my prediction. Don't tell me if I'm right or wrong. I think it's the black part of her pants. Like shaped, maybe that where there's. I'm looking at a picture of the card right now, and there's like some dots on his little lapel thing.
No, you got it. Pants. It was the pants. It was totally.
It was pants.
No, it's the fucking pips.
Oh, it is.
It's the little circles, yeah.
Oh, it's the little circles.
just the idea of someone having like really like Jinko jeans on, and they're the captain.
I have no clue. I thought it was like the triangle part of their pants, like it's in a different position.
No. I'm only laughing because it's like very funny to imagine a series where like people with different shaped pants are the most important.
Oh yeah, that's really funny and weird to you. Star Trek fans. That would be so crazy in your little Star Trek world. That different pants would be the ranking. Oh, how silly!
It's a great idea.
Dots on their shoulder that determines rank.
Anyway, let's talk about Damon Togg and his ship. And look at his robes.
I have to say, by the way, real quick, for context, Mars has been telling me about Star Trek forever, and my biggest thing with Star Trek is all of it sounds so weird, and they look at you like cross-eyed if you say this all sounds weird, and like if you point out how dumb something is, they're like, no, it makes complete sense in the universe, and like perfectly right there. Of course, it's the 4 buttons. It would never be the pants. Could you imagine?
I was just really getting entertained by the idea of Picard wearing like huge parachute pants throughout the series. And
I didn't type of pants. I meant where the triangle thing.
No, but that's what made me chuckle. That's what made me chuckle.
Yeah. Laugh it up.
I will.
Anyway, my ranking is. It was better than the original series.
Really?
what I've seen of that. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, the original series was pretty funny, but if I had to be honest, I like the characters in the Next Generation just a bit more. Though it's hard to compete with Spock. Spock's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Spock is very funny.
I really like Q. Yeah, let's talk about my predictions. We can wrap it up there.
Sounds good.
My prediction is Q is going to be a bit of the what's the word? The series villain a little bit. He's going to be like kind of like a prankster a little bit. Very funny gag.
Okay, I'm listening.
Talking. Thank you. I think he's gonna at one point he's gonna like help them though. There's gonna be an even bigger evil, and he's gonna help them. Just put it up to my mouth. I can see you doing it. And Picard, his journey is gonna be not to be such a fucking weirdo. Data is gonna learn to be more human and learn the difference between humans and robots. I'm trying to think of what else they might have set up. It's kind of honestly
Do
from what
you
I get so far.
remember? Do you remember the guy with the forehead bumps?
With the what'd you say?
The guy with the forehead bumps.
Hold on.
You said something very funny about the shape of his forehead. If you don't remember.
That his forehead looks like unknown Joy Division, unknown pleasures.
Yeah, it looks like a Joy Division album cover. Talking about Worf. Yeah, Worf.
Yeah, I knew it was something ridiculous.
Worf, that's a real word, isn't it?
It's not a name. That's like saying it's my friend Slurp, and then laughing at that and be like, "It's a word."
This is my friend
Sure.
Balcony.
Word. Balcony. This is Balcony over here.
Balcony's actually kind of a sick name. Like, if you didn't know what a balcony was, Balcony's a pretty sick name.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. Anyways, I think that's the end of the show.
Yeah.
Thanks for everyone for listening, and I can't wait to watch the next episode. Thank you for showing it to me, Mars, and for forcing me to watch Star Trek.
Thank you for watching it.
For making this podcast.
It's my grim, dark. It's my. I was trying to think of a Greek story, but I don't know them very well. I am like Sisyphus or whatever, Tantalus. The end.
All right, well, set your phasers to goodbye because this is the end of the episode.